Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the Harif State lays the foundation stone of the CNSS hospital. The independent candidate Zakaria Ismail Farah submits his candidacy file. For the national scene, the first vaccine intended for the population have arrived in Tunisia. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, on Wednesday kicked off the construction of the future hospital of the National Social Security Fund. Listen to this video. Laying the foundation stone of the General Hospital, CNSS strengthens its quality health care offer for Djiboutians. Making the Republic of Djibouti a reference in medical matters in the region is the ambition displayed by the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh. During the laying of the foundation stone of the future General Hospital of the CNSS, in the presence of many guests and members of the government, the head of state, accompanied by the First Lady and President of UNFD, was welcomed by Prime Minister Abdelkader Kamel Mohammed and the Minister of Labor and Health. As soon as they arrived, the presidential couple followed an exhaustive presentation of this hospital by the director of the CNSS, Ms. Deha Ahmed, a presentation related to this future reference hospital, which will be built with funds from the National Social Security Fund. The highlight of today's event was, of course, the laying of the foundation stone of the CNSS General Hospital, where the President made a symbolic gesture in the company of the officials in charge of this project, namely the Minister of Labor, the Minister of Health, and the Director of the CNSS, with an opening planned for 2023, 18 months of work. This hospital will provide better access to health services to Djiboutians by focusing on high-quality services. Designed in accordance with the international standards, the hospital will have up to 220 beds for patients who will be cared by nearly 13 specialist doctors. With the ambition of becoming the first kidney transplant center in the country, the hospital will offer more than 20 medical specialties with the state-of-the-art equipment. This hospital project is part of the support project for the strengthening of competence in the health sector. It will eventually become a university hospital center in order to offer a specialized training for Djiboutian and foreign students. A ceremony rich in colors with the high level of animation was combined with the important number of participants to the event. The laying of the foundation stone of this reference hospital, which will be managed by the CNSS, took place at the space dedicated to the constructions of this hospital located behind the El Hajj Hassan Guled Stadium along the road to Venice. The laying of the foundation stone of this future General Hospital of the CNSS included an important entertainment component, a song specifically composed for this ceremony were interpreted by the main artistic group for March, Haldor, Al-Ghazali, Amina Farah, and so on. The Director General of the CNSS, Ms. Deqa Abdi Roble, in her speech recalled the need felt for the constructions of this hospital of the National Social Security Fund. She also paid a vibrant tribute to the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, for the realization of this health structure. The Minister of Health, Mohamed Warsama Diriye, recalled in his speech the existing collaboration link between his ministry and that of his colleague of labor in the field of health. He also declared that the Ministry of Health has now new health strategies. The Minister of Labor and Administration Reform, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, has indicated in his speech at the ceremony of the laying of the foundation stone of the CNSS hospital, reviewed all the major parts that will be composed of this health structure. He also specified that this new hospital will be able to handle kidney transplantation and tumors diagnosis for the first times in Djibouti. With the introduction of universal health insurance now a reality, this hospital project will complement the range of specialized care that will be covered by AMI in the country. Listen to the Head of State, Ismail Omar Guelleh.
الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Mes chers compatriotes, mesdames et messieurs, c'est pour moi un motif de satisfaction.
Dear citizens, ladies and gentlemen, it is a source of satisfaction for me to attend today the launch of a new hospital which will be launched very soon in our country. It is all the more pleasant for me to see this project come to fruition, as it stems from a broader vision that originated with the advent of universal health insurance in Djibouti. Ladies and gentlemen, the implementation of universal health insurance is a reality. Today, this hospital project will complement the supply of specialized care that will be covered by universal health insurance on the national territory. In this sense, this project has at heart to respond to inequalities and to make solidarity fully act to offer each of our citizens the best care at home. Indeed, this is why we are here and what we aspire to for the future of our hospitals. It is first and foremost to extend solidarity and accessibility without compromising on excellence in the provision of care. We know that excellence in hospital services cannot be decreed in any country. On the other hand, it can be planned and structured. Djibouti is built around three axes: the democratization of access to first-level care, which involves primary care infrastructures throughout the country. The construction of hospitals throughout the national territory was the first requirement to fight the medical desert. Thus today, the hospital has penetrated our villages, our neighborhoods, and our urban centers. Secondly, the hospital offer is accompanied by training and human capital. The Faculty of Medicine in the Higher Institute of Health reflect our desire to have national skills in terms of both quality and availability. Finally, it is also built with the universal health insurance. The latter aims at health inclusion so that none of our citizens are excluded. It is a major instrument of solidarity in the service of the right to access health care. These are the first three main pillars of our health model. It has been put to the test by the health crisis and has shown its capacity for resilience.
Secondly, the requirement for a successful patient experience. This requires two levers. The first is the human factor, because the act of care is above all an act of humanity. Listen once again to the head of state.
Mesdames et messieurs, comme Djibouti sait d'où elle vient en matière de santé, elle ne saurait perdre de vue les nouveaux défis à relever.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Djibouti knows where it comes from in terms of health, it cannot lose sight of the new challenges to be met. It is based on three requirements. First of all, the requirement of a quality of care that continues to improve. This means increasing the skills of our men and women in all of the many and varied healthcare professions. The belief is both to combat the shortage of skills and to prepare the skills of the future, because the demand for care is evolving and the supply of care must also evolve and at best keep ahead of the game and be able to take advantage of technological advances and medical engineering. Secondly, the requirement for a successful patient experience. This requires two levers. The first is the human factor, because the act of self-care is above all an act of humanity that must be crystallized by a charter of duties and rights between the practitioner and his patient. The second is based on digital technology to build a patient file entirely materialized. Finally, it is the requirement of a reinforced governance. This requires the professionalization and modernization of management towards our hospitals. This is why it is imperative to strengthen hospital governments in order to guarantee the financial performance and operational efficiency that will allow the sustainability of these precious infrastructures. Ladies and gentlemen, you have understood the future of health in the Republic of Djibouti is launched, a future where excellence will be the new standard. This hospital will be the steering point in 18 months. This will be followed in the same year by the launch of a new maternity hospital designed to relieve the congestion of the main maternity hospital and the construction of a very large polyclinic for the district. These two works, which will meet the new standards set in terms of health infrastructure, aesthetics, functionality, technology, and management, will have a large part in the new achievements. As you have also understood, our health model aims to build an efficient and innovative health system anchored in humanism and solidarity with one another. For if there is one thing that this past year have demonstrated, it is that in the face of a disease, we are all vulnerable, and more than ever, we must consolidate this active solidarity, which is based on our cultural uniqueness, on our Muslim values, and which thus constitutes one of the pillars of our beautiful nation. It is united and in solidarity that we will succeed in meeting the challenges of our time. It is united and in solidarity we will achieve our individual and collective goals. It is united and in solidarity that we will reach the highest summits. I thank you for your support.
A second candidacy file for the presidential election took place this morning at the Ministry of the Interior. The Minister of Interior received this morning Mr. Zakaria Ismail Farah, candidate who came with his collaborator and his campaign manager to deposit his candidacy file for the presidential elections of April 9, 2021. The Minister Momin Ahmed Sheikh wished the delegation led by the candidate Zakaria Ismail Farah, who provided all the administrative documents for the deposit of the candidacy for the presidential election. Mr. Zakaria Ismail Farah is the second candidate to have filled his applications for the April 2021 presidential elections after President Ismail Omar Guelleh, who is seeking a new mandate. He was born in 1964 and is a businessman, married, and father of several children. The Minister of Interior has given a provisional receipt to the candidate Zakaria Ismail Farah after having studied the candidacy file in the presence of his Secretary General and his advisors. After the submission of the files, the Interior Ministry will transmit all the files to the Constitutional Council, which will examine them further before issuing a final receipt. The Minister of Interior, Momin Ahmed Sheikh, visited the Constitutional Council at the end of the morning to hand over the candidacy files for the April 2021 presidential election. Two candidates have submitted their candidacy files for the April 2021 elections, namely President Ismail Omar Guelleh and candidates of UMP, and the independent candidate Zakaria Ismail Farah, who submitted his file this morning. On his arrival, the Ministry of Interior and its advisor were welcomed by the President of the Constitutional Council, Mr. Abdi Ibrahim Absiye, the member of the Council. The Constitutional Council will study the two candidacy file and will give the final receipt to the presidential candidates. It should be noted that Wednesday was the deadline for filling application for the April 2021 presidential election. The Minister of Interior announces that Thursday, March 11, 2021 will be a paid holiday. These holidays correspond to Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. As in the rest of the country, the distribution and collection of electoral cards continues in Artas region. This morning, the chairman of the Seni, Mr. Farah Abdullahi Waliye, moved with his team to Arta city and We'a. On their arrival, the delegations led by the chairman of the CENI went first to the regional council of Arta, where the CENI offices of the region is located. Then the chairman of CENI visited the premises of CENI, where he received explanations from the vice president of CENI of Arta. The delegation then went to the prefecture of the region, where the prefect, Mr. Mohammed Sheikh Hassan, was waiting for them. The president of RPP Annex of Neighborhood 5 organized yesterday afternoons at the annex of RPP of the Neighborhood 5 an awareness day for the withdrawal of voter cards in order to proceed to a civic and fundamental right that of voting for their candidates of choice. This day of awareness saw the participation of many women's associations from this District 5 of the municipality of Bulaos, the Minister of Agriculture Mohammed Ahmed Awale, Sultan Ibrahim Jama Samatar, the Member of Parliament Suleiman Daher, and many senior officials from this District 5 were also invited to this day. The participants in this day called on the residents of this district to collect their voters card and thus participate in their civic and elementary rights. For his part, the Minister of Agriculture Mohammed Ahmed Awale called on the residents of the District 5 to withdraw their voting card. The minister also asked the women to mobilize and sensitize the district to withdraw the voting card. Several dozen of candidates took part in the exam for the National Education Inspectors competition, which started today at the Umar Gelle Ahmed Basic Education Teacher Training Center. This year, some 18 positions of inspector, including first for preschool, are open to recruitment. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, and his colleagues in charge of labor and administrative reform, Ismail Ibrahim Roble, visit the CFF examination room in the company of the examination board, including the Secretary General of the MENFOP, Mohammed Abdullah Mahyub, and the Inspector General of General Education, Muna Ismail Abdu, as well as the Director General of the CFF, Ms. Asha Farah Iltire. The officials were satisfied with the conditions under which the competition was held. The occasion for him to underline the policy of the MENFOP, which is keen to strengthen the body of the inspectorate in order to improve the supervisions of teaching and learning in our schools. The Minister of Health, Mohammed Warsama Diriye, has convened an emergency meeting with the COVID-19 Pandemic Scientific Monitoring Committee in view of the sharp increase in cases in recent days. The meeting follows a slight increase in the number of cases testing positive in the first 10 days of March 2021 up to 161 cases compared to the data of January and February, when the epidemiological data were 101 positive cases and 134 positive cases for the whole month. The rate of positivity for this day is 10.9%, and the increase of positive cases is confirmed day by day. The meeting was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Saleh Benoita Turab, the Scientific Committee, and senior officials of the Ministry of Health. For his part, the Minister of Health, Mohammed Warsama Diriye, said that his department is concerned about the sudden increase in cases, in the positive cases during the first 10 days of March, and that his department will once again strengthen the response mechanisms to protect the population, especially the most vulnerable. As part of the fight against terrorists, the Ministry of Agriculture has granted today a tanker track for the sub-prefecture of Karta and Laita in the region of Arta. The ceremony took place at the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Sea in charge of water resources and was attended by the Minister of Agriculture, Mohamed Ahmed Awale, the Prefect of Arta's region, Mohamed Sheikh Hassan, the Member of Parliament, Asha Mohammed. The granting of this track will allow to meet the urgent need of water supply of the population of the region of Leita and Karta at the beginning of the summer period to face the shortage of water to the decrease of water tables and the lack of rains. It should be also be noted that the granting of this tanker is a part of fight against thirst. For his part, the Minister of Agriculture, Mohamed Ahmed Awale, said in his speech he will allow the fight against water shortage in this sub-region. The Foreign Affairs Committee met on Wednesday, 10 March 2021, under the chairmanship of Honorable Abdurrahman Awale Yassin to examine the following bills: draft law on the ratifications of the loan agreement for the Integrated Water Resources Management Project, draft law on the ratification of the additional financing of the Integrated Slum Upgrading Project. This working session was attended by the Member of Parliament, member of and non-member of the committee. The government was represented by the Minister of Agriculture, Mohamed Ahmed Awale, the Minister of Housing, Miss Amina Aden Abdi, and their close collaborators. On Monday, 8 March 2020, the Obok Regional Education Service organized a field trip for 5th grade pupils from the schools of Obok 1, Obok 2, Asasan, and Markazi. The convoy left the Regional Education Inspectorate at 9 a.m. under the escort of Obok-based National Gendarmerie Company and an ambulance provided by the Obok Medical Hospital. 3 teachers are relatives who accompanied the pupils from the Asasan school on the team in charge of organizing the field trips. The president of the Obok Regional Council and the inspector head of the Obok Regional Education Service also took part in this outing. For the international scene, the first vaccine for the population have arrived in Tunisia, paving the way for the vaccination campaign to start on Saturday. 4 boxes containing 30,000 of the 500,000 doses of Russian Sputnik 5 vaccine purchased by Tunisia have arrived and will be distributed to the country's vaccination centers with priority given to health workers. The goal is to eventually vaccinate half of the Tunisian population, 11 million inhabitants, 93,600 doses, 93,600 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is planned for mid-February. As part of the COVAX plan are expected in the coming days. The delivery should be followed at the end of the March by 600,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine and another 100,000 offered by China. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.